Pokemon be bringing that heat. Yo, what's up everyone? Trademan1 here. Welcome back to another Pokemon anime discussion video. Guys, today we will be ranking the start of every Pokemon series from worst to best. You know, the start of a series leaves a huge impact on how the future of the series can go. And with Horizons now 10 episodes in, I will be ranking the first 10 episodes of each Pokemon series from the original series to now. So let's go and get right into it. Coming in at the bottom of the list, we have Pokemon Black and White. Now, this series is also my least favorite series altogether, but man, a lot of it roots from the start. For starters, this came after Diamond and Pearl. We just see Pikachu tied with a Latios. Then here he goes, losing to a level 5 Snipe. Yes, I know he lost his electric powers through the Zekrom, but still it's Ash's Pikachu, his Quick Attack, and Iron Tail. Like, there's no reason Ash should have lost that fight. And on top of that, Pikachu goes and loses in the gym battle when he has all his power back to Pampor of all Pokemon. Like, come on now. Not only was Pikachu portrayed pretty badly, but also Ash as well. Like, he made a lot of silly rookie mistakes. They obviously tried to reset him. Like, he threw a Pokeball at Deerling without battling it and just was acting overall pretty dumb in early Black and White. Now, I get they were trying to do a reset. Iris and Siren were introduced, and they were, you know, at the time, they were pretty cool, I guess. But, yeah, I gotta say, Black and White, I did like, you know, how Ash was catching so many Pokemon in the beginning. That was pretty cool. But, in my opinion, it's the weakest start because of how they disrespected Ash and Pikachu. Next up is Pokemon Journeys. And yes, I know Pokemon Journeys wasn't the greatest series, but I'm not gonna lie. I actually did enjoy the start of Pokemon Journeys. Like, the first couple episodes gave me some hope. The first episode, it didn't really relate too much because it was about Pichu's backstory, but that kind of gives the hint that this may be Ash's last series. After that, episode 2, we get the introduction of Go, and just, you know, an introduction to the world of Pokemon. This gave me so much hope for the adventures that we would go on through in this series. Then episode 3 comes around, and it's just like, oh, like, okay, it was kind of concerning. 4 and 5 were finally some Galar episodes. They were pretty good. After that, though, you know, it was just kind of like, I don't know. It was ups and downs. It really showed some of the episodic features of Journeys. With, like, we had a great episode in episode 7 with Ash taking on a battle finally. Then 2 more fillers right after that, and it's just like, oh, gosh. But then Ash catches Dragonite. So it was a lot of ups and a lot of downs in the first 10 episodes of Pokemon Journeys. And I don't know. I feel like that kind of led to how the rest of the series went because Journeys had some high highs and some very low lows. So these starts of the series really do kind of predict how they will go in the future, which is kind of scary. Next up, we have the start of AG. And honestly, there's nothing really bad about the start of AG. It's just kind of like the setting ground of how future Pokemon series will begin, with Ash getting to in the region, meeting his new companions, catching his first couple Pokemon. Like, this kind of set the basis for what future series would give us. It's just, I think that future series did a better job of this formula. Now, yes, they give some nice surprises like Brock returning and Jesse and James releasing their Pokemon, but also catching new ones. So I gotta say, it's a pretty decent start. But the one thing that this series is missing is there was no real introduction to any rivals or anything like that. Like, every other series, you know, we also get the introduction of a rival that helps build Ash's character to the future. But this time around, there was none of that. So that's why I'm putting AG kind of lower than the rest. Next up, we have Pokemon Horizons. Now, I know this may be a shocker. The new series is kind of lower. It's not that it's a bad start, but it's just that the other series, I think, definitely had greater starts than this. Pokemon Horizons has been really interesting. Now, it's a new character, so there's no real formula that this series has to follow to start. So I think that's why it's kind of different. I gotta say, I love the story points with, you know, them slowly building up to lore. But I will say there were a couple slow moments towards the end of these first 10 episodes. Like, I get it. They have to build the world. They have to make the progression. So that's why I'm sure that when we get later on in the series, all these episodes in the beginning that are kind of slow will definitely add up to more in the future. Because you could definitely tell that they're taking the story a lot more serious. Like, yeah, I know it's a lot of episodes to get to the point. But honestly, that's better than episodic episodes that don't lead to anything in the future. So I'm actually excited to see where Horizons will go. And hopefully, you know, it'll get better from here. In the number 4 spot, we have the start of X and Y. I gotta say, another solid start to a Pokemon anime. This series is kind of like a Pokemon Horizons, how they had a very strong first couple of episodes. And then the later part of those early episodes, they did get kind of boring-ish. But I gotta say, I love the start of X and Y. The introduction to Kalos was great. Freaking Ash's character was great. Jumping off of Lumio's tower. Oh my goodness, man. it was hype. And the way they introduced their characters was pretty interesting, with like Serena taking a while to join the cast and things like that. The captures were pretty good as well. That first gym battle, man, it got me hyped for future battles in the series. And that's what I'm really holding on hope to with Horizons. Like, the battles with Free and Amethio have me excited to see what we will get later on the line when these characters get better. But yes, X and Y definitely had a great start. A lot of story elements that were introduced early that paid off in the end. Hopefully Horizons will do the same. Coming in at number 3, we have the Sun and Moon anime. I love the start of the Sun and Moon anime. Sun and Moon is one of my favorite Pokemon series. And I gotta say, the twist and how they changed up the start of the series really had me excited and invested to see what was going to go down in the future. This time around, you know, Ash is in this new region going to school. There's no gyms. There's no league at the time. So it was really a mystery of what was going to go down. But I got to say, Sun and Moon landed the opening. Now, we had a lot of new characters. So each of the first couple of episodes, they had more to explore and to introduce for each character. So that was really enjoyable. And at the same time, it did give us promise and hope that we will see some good battles in Pokemon Sun and Moon, with obviously in the second episode, Ash getting in the Z-Ring, fighting Tapu Koko, and then in episodes 9 and 10, taking on the Trial and Grand Trial, and some really nice animated battles. I gotta say, the beginning of Sun and Moon was pretty hype. It was different, but it wasn't a bad difference, unlike Pokemon Journeys. In number 2, I gotta give it to the original series. Now, the reason the original series is so high, it's not because, you know, it doesn't do anything like too crazy or out of the ball different than the other series. But I gotta say, without the original series, we wouldn't have Pokemon how we have it today. Literally, those first couple episodes, the introduction of Ash was solid. Oh my goodness. In his first day of being a Pokemon trainer, you know, he gets this Pikachu that's disobeying him. He freaking has this big brawl with the Spearows. He ends up seeing a whole new Pokemon we never seen before for the first time. I gotta say, this was the introduction of Pokemon that led to so much greatness. The introduction of memorable characters like Brock and Misty, and just great stories. Like, everything was original back then. So we had fresh, funny vibes and some action, pretty good action as well. I gotta say, the original series start was pretty strong, and it still holds up to this day. You can go back and watch the first episode of Pokemon and just be like, man, like, what a classic. In the number 1 spot, though, I got to give it to Diamond and Pearl. I say Diamond and Pearl had one of the most solid starts to a Pokemon series. It's kind of like how Advance started, but I feel like they perfected what they wanted to do here. With it being about mostly Ash and Dawn, but I feel like they perfected and balanced both of these characters and what their goals were perfectly. We get the introduction of Paul early on, which leads to a great story throughout the entire Diamond and Pearl series. Like, we get to see the difference between Ash and Paul's ways and how that leads to so much greatness with these two characters. And for Dawn is a new Pokemon trainer. She's going through all the new stuff, but we get pretty introduced early on into the whole contest thing as well. And of course, our boy Brock is back once again, and this time in a more funnier way than epic like the last series. But I gotta say, the dynamic between Ash, Dawn, and Brock early on was solid. The episodes were solid. I really do enjoy Diamond and Pearl. And to be honest, the start of this series was so great all the way through the end, in my opinion. Like, this is one of the most solid Pokemon series to this day. And I hope that, you know, Pokemon Horizons can do the same, because Horizons is a good start. Like I said, you know, these other Pokemon series, they are already aired. So the starts, I got to see how they progress. I believe Horizons, if it progresses pretty good, can possibly come up here with Diamond and Pearl, Sun and Moon, XY, and the original series. But until then, we just have to wait and see. But with that being said, in the comment section down below, let me know how you would rank the start of every Pokemon series from worst to best. I would love to hear. Do you agree with what I said, or do you have different opinions? With that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Trade Man Wine, peace out.